So before every lane change, you have to do your verifications, central mirror, and the side mirror and blind spot to the side where you're changing lanes. So in order not to be too repetitive in this video, I won't be mentioning it every time. Note also that checking the blind spot has to be quick. If you keep your eyes here, you're not seeing what's happening in front anymore. So you should check the blind spot only a fraction of a second. Now this one might seem obvious, but this is the mistake almost every student does when changing lanes. They always slow down too much. This is because when you're scared, braking is the thing you'll tend to do. Obviously, if everybody's going faster than you won't be able to change lanes. Now there will be situations when you'll have to slow down while changing lanes, but not every time. Basically, you have to adapt to the speed of the traffic in the lane where you want to go. So you either accelerate and change in front if you're not already too close to the maximum speed, or you slow down and change behind. Also, sometimes they're too passive. They look to the side and see a car and stay at the same speed. Then they look a couple of seconds later, the car is still there, and they still continue at the same speed. If you keep on going at the same speed as the other car, it'll always be there. You have to make a decision. You either accelerate and change in front, or slow down and change behind, like I'm doing here. A good trick to know if the vehicles that are in the lane where you want to go are far enough for you to change lanes is their size in the mirrors. If you see the car completely in your mirror at about this size, it's far enough so you can change lanes. If you don't see it completely, like in this case, it's too close. If you're changing lanes on the highway, make sure that you see the whole vehicle in your central mirror since you're going faster. When changing lanes behind someone, you should leave at least 2 seconds between you and the vehicle in front. At city speeds, that's about the distance of a moving car between both of you. That's also the distance you should always keep from the vehicle in front, generally when moving. Notice that this distance is measured in seconds, not meters or feet. And why is that? Because time is relative to speed. For example, at 30 kilometers an hour, a gap of 2 seconds between the two cars will be more or less 17 meters, and at 50 kilometers an hour, it'll be more or less 28 meters. So the higher the speed, the longer the distance will be between you and the vehicle in front, but the gap will still be 2 seconds. And how do you determine that 2 seconds? Find a reference point, in this case, this parked car, and when the car in front of you passes next to it, start counting. 0, 1, 2. So basically you should change lanes more or less at this point. Now obviously you won't be counting seconds when changing lanes all your life. You'll get a feel for judging the right distance after a short while. But when you start driving, this can be a good trick to give you an idea of the right distances. Here's a mistake most people do in everyday life: stepping on the lines without changing lanes when going around an obstacle. You can't do this. Even if the obstacle is blocking only a small portion of your lane, you still have to change lanes completely. As soon as you step on the lines with your wheels, there's a risk of collision with the vehicle on the other lane, especially if it's a large vehicle. So if you think you're going to touch the lines, change lanes completely. A situation where students always neglect their verifications is when changing lanes in a lane like this one after some painted lines on the floor. Even if you can't drive over these lines, it doesn't mean there won't be anybody there. Think of it this way: if there isn't something physical preventing people from being there, there will be someone there eventually. So always do your verifications when changing in those types of lanes too. Same thing when passing vehicles that are about to turn left. Like in this case, this guy is about to turn left, and on the other side of the intersection, I'll have to change back to the left lane since there are parked cars in my lane. When changing back, still do your verifications. This guy may have changed his mind and go straight. Also remember that when coming out of a parking spot or going into one, you're still changing lanes. You're going from one parking lane to a moving one or vice versa, but it's still a lane change. So in both situations, you still need to do the verifications. And the flasher is very important in both situations also. Here, I'm going to park to the right, so there could either be someone in the car about to go or a cyclist between the two cars. A very common mistake with students: they tend to stare at things too long, and it's also true when looking at the mirrors before changing lanes. If you look at the mirror too long, you tend to swerve in the direction where you're looking, in this case, to the left. You don't need to keep looking at the mirror to know when this vehicle will pass you. Look at the mirror and you see that the vehicle is this size, then look in front. If you look again a second later or so, and the vehicle is now twice as big, that means that it's about to pass you. So you look in front again, and eventually, you'll see it pass you in your field of vision. So the thing to do here is to alternate between looking at the mirror and looking in front until the vehicle passes you. Then check the mirrors and blind spot again to make sure there's not any more vehicles, and if not, you can change. I hope you liked this video. Like and subscribe if you want. If you have any questions or suggestions, post them in the comments, and thanks for watching.